What is the stupidest thing someone has told you with complete conviction? That the COVID vaccine was 100% safe and they just lifted the red tape that vaccines usually have to go through to push it through quicker. Now, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I had the vaccine, and all the top-ups. But you cannot say that vaccine was 100% safe because you need time to see what the long-term side effects are in a controlled way, before really deeming it safe. And unsurprisingly, we are seeing a host of side effects now, particularly from AstraZeneca. That the USA changing over to electric vehicles will stop global warming, when China operates over half of the coal-burning power plants in the world and they are building dozens more of them. And they are not even equipped with ash precipitation devices, resulting in massively higher emissions than any other power source. The USA is not the problem. We are already the cleanest users of fossil fuels in the world. A guy I work with said that a football referee runs over the distance of a marathon during a game. I pointed out that a football game was only 90 minutes long and that the marathon record was just over 2 hours, so that would be impossible. He said it was possible, because a football referee changes direction a lot during a game, and it all adds up. Cars? They don't have cars. They have donkeys or walk to their huts. 40-year-old black woman talking to me about Africa. She refused to believe me, who had been to Kenya, that there are cities and people with cars. Even after showing her pic and explaining Africa has normal stuff just like the West. She refused to believe it or the internet. At one of my first jobs as a graphic designer, a client called me into his office and pulled up a photo he took. He then asked me if I could turn it around. No, not rotate it, but turn the viewpoint around. He wanted to see what was behind the camera when he originally took the photo. God, I have so many stories from that job. From a coworker: if you don't have a social security number, then the government can do anything to you. I asked if that meant, if I didn't have an SSN, then I could just go kill someone on the street and the government couldn't arrest me. Yep, he said, if you don't have an SSN then they can enforce any laws on you. My cousin, a city boy who's never been around farm animals, once told me that only human women feel pain from childbirth on account of punishment for original sin, and that I, a country gal who has seen many a farm animal give painful, difficult birth, was wrong in asserting that he was incorrect. Back in the day, people believed humans and dinosaurs hung out together, even giving them piggyback rides because it was written in the Bible. And apparently, some dinos missed the boat because they dissed Jesus. I had tons of questions, but they couldn't quite explain it all. Just recently someone at work told me with a straight face that the Hawaiian wildfires were actually started by a secret government energy weapon so that the government could seize more land from the Hawaiians. I looked at them dumbfounded and just walked away. That celebrities drink the blood of children to stay young, and that's why celebrities on Zoom calls during COVID looked worse, because they couldn't get their blood. Or maybe they just didn't have access to professional makeup artists during lockdown. I had a coworker who was born and raised in North Carolina, and she was utterly convinced that enslaved people could come and as they pleased, and that plantation owners were benevolent charities that housed people who had nowhere else to go. She said, if you dream about falling and you hit the ground in your sleep, you'll actually die. It's been proven. I said, if you die in your sleep, how can anyone know what you are dreaming? Ruined a favorite story of hers. Sorry. No, it's still just one job. We used to have one person do all of this stuff. Yeah. Office manager, event coordinator, and what should have been director of membership are all 3 separate titles. You just don't want to pay 3 salaries. In early 2020 I was informed, quite earnestly, by a random lady in a shop that you could tell who had been vaccinated against COVID-19 by placing a magnet on them, as the vaccine made you magnetic. First girlfriend was religious, and apparently it was okay that we had sex as long as she feels bad about it after. Pre-planning regret was her loophole to do what she wanted. She told me with certainty that Jupiter is bigger than the sun. It didn't take long for my dumbfounded silence and facial expression for her to reconsider what she just said. Like 90 of smokers are convinced that it's not just the nicotine, it's the whole process. Man. Wrong. It's just the nicotine. I said, wow. Look at that sunset. She said, don't look at the sun, you'll go blind. We were in college at the time. The guys in production at Work 100 think Michelle Obama is a man. I've heard it several times. Pretty disturbing. Don't we all appear stupid to each other, sometimes? X200B. It's about tolerating one another, out of love. I'm a dental hygienist. We had a patient come in with terrible teeth. They thought toothpaste caused cancer, that we set the clocks forwards and backwards so the birds don't get confused with their migration patterns, that if everyone in the US drove EVs climate change and global warming would stop and reverse itself. Friend of mine was adamant that the people of Palestine voted to let Israel in back in the 40s. Atheism is a religion, too. First date. Major red flag right there. Never seen her again. JFK Jr. is alive and is going to reveal himself as Donald Trump's running mate next year. That the speed of light wasn't like an actual number, it was just a figure of speech. Pineapples aren't real. They're entirely man-made and do not exist in nature. They told me that the snakes at the zoo get fed hamburger meat. That sounds quite audibly deeper the farther away they are.